a whisper in a prestigious kitchen, a knife that never dulls. When Marcus Porter enters the culinary competition, the judges see only his worn clothes and lack of pedigree. But beneath his calloused hands lies the secret of generations, a gift that will silence mockery and carve his name into legend. The perfect dish awaits. Now who dares to taste it? Before we dive into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from. The fluorescent lights of Luminescence Academy's kitchen gleamed off polished steel surfaces. Marcus Porter squinted against their harsh glare, adjusting the collar of his second-hand chef's jacket. Around him, 20 contestants bustled with practiced efficiency, their crisp white uniforms pristine, their movements confident. "You're at Station 16, barked Chef Henrik Voss, the competition organizer and head judge. His gaze flicked over Marcus, lingering on the frayed edges of his sleeves. Marcus nodded and made his way to his assigned station. The countertop was immaculate, the equipment top of the line worth more than 3 months of his rent. He ran a calloused finger along the edge of a knife, testing its sharpness. "Looks like someone got lost on their way to the fast food district," a voice drawled behind him. Marcus turned to find Alyssa Blackwood smirking at him. Her knife kit alone probably cost more than his car. The Blackwood restaurant empire spanned 3 continents, and its heiress had never known a day without privilege. "I know exactly where I am," Marcus replied quietly. "Do you?" Alyssa raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. "This is the Northern Regional Finals. Invitation only." "I got an invitation." "Clearly a clerical error," she said, loud enough for nearby contestants to hear. Several chuckled. Marcus felt heat rise to his face, but kept his expression neutral. He'd survived worse than rich kids with sharp tongues. Chef Voss cleared his throat at the front of the kitchen. "Welcome to the Northern Regional Finals of the International Culinary Excellence Competition. Today's challenge: create a signature dish that represents your culinary philosophy. You have 3 hours. Your time starts now." The kitchen erupted into motion. Marcus took a deep breath and opened his worn backpack, removing a small wooden box. Inside lay his grandmother's knives, not expensive, but cared for with reverence for 4 decades. As he worked, Marcus kept to himself. His movements were economical, lacking the theatrical flourishes of his competitors. He didn't have formal training, just years of experience in small-town diners and family kitchens. His grandmother had taught him everything she knew, secrets, passed down through generations of Portuguese immigrants who transformed simple ingredients into poetry. "Where did you train again?" asked Dominic Chen, the contestant at Station 15. His resume included 3 Michelin-starred restaurants. "I didn't," Marcus admitted, focusing on the onion he was dicing with mathematical precision. Dominic's eyes widened. "You didn't train anywhere? And you're here?" He laughed, catching Alyssa's attention from across the room. "What's funny?" she called over. "Our friend here is self-taught," Dominic announced. Alyssa's laughter rang through the kitchen. "Oh, that's precious. What's next? Did you learn from YouTube tutorials?" "My grandmother taught me," Marcus said, his voice steady as he continued working. "How quaint," Alyssa said, rolling her eyes. "Well, this should be entertaining at least." Chef Voss passed by, clipboard in hand. He paused at Marcus's station, watching him work. His expression revealed nothing, but he lingered longer than he had at other stations. "Your technique is unusual," Voss observed. Marcus nodded. "It gets the job done." "We'll see," Voss replied cryptically before moving on. The first hour passed in a blur of activity. Marcus worked steadily, his focus unwavering despite the occasional snicker or pointed comment from nearby contestants. His dish was taking shape, simple in appearance but layered with complexity. During the second hour, disaster struck. Marcus reached for his spice blend only to find it missing. He glanced around, catching Alyssa's smug expression as she quickly turned away. "Looking for something?" she asked innocently. Marcus said nothing. He'd have to adapt. His grandmother's voice echoed in his memory. A true chef creates magic from whatever's available. He improvised, creating a new blend from memory. As he worked, Dominic accidentally bumped into his station, nearly toppling a pot of carefully reduced sauce. "Oh, so sorry," Dominic said, not sounding sorry at all. "Tight quarters in here." Marcus steadied the pot with one hand. No harm done. The second incident came as the contestants reached the final hour. The judges began circulating, making preliminary observations. Chef Voss, accompanied by celebrity chef Lydia Way and restaurant critic Jonathan Hayes, stopped at each station. When they reached Alyssa's, she charmed them with practiced ease. "I'm preparing a deconstructed coq au vin with a molecular gastronomy. Twist," she explained. "The wine spheres burst in your mouth, releasing flavor that complements the sous vide chicken." "Impressive conceptualization," Chef Way remarked, making notes. At Dominic's station, he showcased a Japanese-French fusion dish. "This is hamachi crudo with a miso beurre blanc and pickled daikon radish," he said. "The flavors represent my journey through the world's finest kitchens." Hayes nodded approvingly. "Your technical precision is evident." When they reached Marcus, he was plating his dish with careful attention. "And what are you preparing for us?" "Today?" Chef Voss asked, his tone neutral. "Bacalhau à brasse," Marcus answered. "Salt cod with potatoes and eggs." Hayes frowned. "That's a peasant dish, isn't it?" "Traditional Portuguese, yes," Marcus confirmed. "Hardly seems appropriate for a competition of this caliber," Hayes said dismissively. "We're looking for innovation, not home cooking." From nearby stations, snickers erupted. Alyssa didn't bother, hiding her amusement. "Perhaps there's a comfort food category you could enter instead." The judges moved on without further comment. Marcus continued working, his face betraying nothing as laughter rippled through the kitchen. 10 minutes remaining," Chef Voss announced. The tension in the room heightened. Marcus finished plating his dish, adding a final garnish of black olives and fresh herbs. Around him, contestants created elaborate presentations with squeeze bottles, tweezers, and smoke-filled domes. The third incident occurred with just 5 minutes left on the clock. Chef Voss assembled all competitors at the front of the kitchen. "Before we conclude, I'd like each of you to explain your inspiration. Ms. Blackwood, let's start with you." Alyssa stepped forward. "My dish represents the future of fine dining. Technical, mastery combined with artistic presentation. Each element has been precisely calibrated for optimal flavor pairing." Dominic spoke next, describing his fusion concept with practiced eloquence. Others followed, each explanation more pretentious than the last. When Marcus's turn came, Chef Voss's expression was already skeptical. "And you, Mr. Porter, what inspired your traditional approach?" Before Marcus could answer, Alyssa interrupted. "Probably whatever was on sale at the grocery store." Laughter erupted. Even Chef Way suppressed a smile. "Actually," Marcus said calmly, "this dish holds my family's history. My grandmother fed a family of 8 on a dishwasher's salary with recipes like this. She taught me that true cooking isn't about expensive ingredients or fancy techniques. It's about understanding flavor at its most fundamental level." "How touching," Hayes said dryly. "But this is a professional competition, not a family reunion." "Chef," Voss checked his watch. "Time's up. Please return to your stations for final judging." The judges moved methodically through the kitchen, tasting each dish and making notes without comment. When they reached Marcus's station, their expressions were guarded. Chef Voss took the first bite. His eyes widened slightly. He took another. Chef Way followed, then Hayes. Silence fell over their corner of the kitchen. The 3 judges exchanged glances. "The texture of the cod is perfect," Chef Way said finally. "How did you achieve this consistency?" "Temperature control and timing," Marcus replied. "The fish needs to flake but remain moist. The potatoes should be soft but never mushy. It's about balance." Hayes took another bite, his expression conflicted. "The flavor profile is unexpectedly complex for such a simple dish." Chef Voss set down his fork. "You've incorporated saffron and a hint of smoked paprika. Not traditional for this dish. My grandmother's addition," Marcus explained. "She believed every generation should add something to the recipe while respecting its heart." The judges moved on without further comment, but Marcus noticed Chef Voss glancing back at his station with a thoughtful expression. After tasting all 20 dishes, the judges conferred in hushed tones at the front of the kitchen. Contestants whispered nervously amongst themselves. Alyssa stood confident, fielding congratulations from several peers already. "Attention, everyone," Chef Voss finally announced. "This competition tests not just technical skill, but understanding of flavor, balance, and culinary vision. After careful consideration, we've selected our 3 finalists who will advance to the international finals in Paris." He consulted his clipboard. "In 3rd place, Dominic Chen." Dominic stepped forward, accepting congratulations with a practiced smile. "In 2nd place, Alyssa Blackwood." Her smile faltered momentarily before she recovered, stepping forward with her head held high. "And in 1st place," Chef Voss paused, his eyes scanning the room, "Marcus Porter." Silence fell over the kitchen. Marcus stood frozen, certain he'd misheard. "Mr. Porter," Chef Voss repeated. Marcus stepped forward unsteadily. Around him, shocked whispers erupted. "This has to be a mistake," Alyssa said, her voice tight. Chef Voss shook his head. "No mistake. Mr. Porter's dish demonstrated perfect technique, balanced flavors, and a depth of understanding that surpassed all others today." Chef Wei nodded. "Your handling of the salt cod was masterful, something many classically trained chefs struggle with. The egg was silken, the potatoes perfectly textured. Every element served the whole." "But it's just a common dish," Alyssa protested. Hayes cleared his throat. "Miss Blackwood, there is nothing common about perfection. I've tasted this dish in Lisbon's finest restaurants, and none compare to what Mr. Porter created today." Alyssa's face flushed crimson. She opened her mouth to protest further, but found no words. Dominic stared at his shoes, unable to meet Marcus's eyes. Chef Voss extended his hand to Marcus. "Congratulations. You've earned your place in the international finals." Marcus's hands trembled as he accepted the handshake. His throat felt tight, his vision blurring slightly at the edges. The kitchen that had seemed so hostile now felt surreal, like a dream he might wake from at any moment. "Thank you," he managed to say, his voice rough with emotion. "Where did you learn to cook like that?" Chef Wei asked. "Really?" Marcus took a deep breath. "My grandmother's kitchen in Newark. She worked as a dishwasher at a Portuguese restaurant for 30 years. The chef there took pity on her, a widow with 3 children, and taught her techniques when the restaurant was closed. She passed everything she learned to me." Chef Voss nodded slowly. "That explains your knife skills. Old school European. Precision. She always said the knife does the work if you respect it," Marcus replied. As the judges moved away to complete paperwork, contestants approached Marcus with newfound respect. Hands were offered, congratulations extended. Alyssa remained, distant, her back rigid as she packed her knife kit with sharp, angry movements. Dominic approached hesitantly. "I owe you an apology," he said quietly. "I judged you without seeing what you could do." Marcus accepted the apology with a nod. "We all have different paths to the same destination." Later, as contestants dispersed, Chef Voss caught Marcus alone. "For you know the finals will be different," he warned. "The competition will be fiercer, the scrutiny more intense." "I understand." "Good, because talent like yours deserves the right stage." Chef Voss handed him an envelope. "Your formal invitation to Paris. Your expenses will be covered." Marcus stared at the envelope. "I can't afford to take time off work." "It's all arranged. A stipend is included for competitors." Chef Voss studied him. "Why did you enter this?" "Competition, Mr. Porter." Marcus considered the question. "To prove something to myself. My grandmother believed I could cook anywhere for anyone. I wanted to know if she was right." "She was," Chef Voss said simply. "Now the world will know it, too." As Marcus left the academy, the weight of victory settling on his shoulders, he felt his phone vibrate, a text from his sister. "How did it go?" He smiled, typing back, "I'm going to Paris." 3 dots appeared immediately, followed by a flood of exclamation points and questions. He'd explain everything later. For now, he wanted to visit his grandmother's grave with the news. She'd always said his hands were made for creating beauty, even when others couldn't see it. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows as Marcus walked through the parking lot. Ahead, he spotted Alyssa standing beside her luxury car. Phone pressed to her ear. "I don't know what happened, Dad," she was saying, her voice tight with frustration. The judges made their decision. I know. We'll talk when I get home. She ended the call and looked up, noticing Marcus. For a moment, they regarded each other in silence. Congratulations, she finally said, the word clearly costing her. Thank you. Paris won't be like today, she warned, echoing Chef Voss. You caught everyone by surprise here. That advantage is gone. Marcus nodded. I'm not expecting advantages, just a fair chance. Fair? Alyssa laughed bitterly. Nothing about this industry is fair. You'll see. She got into her car without another word, leaving Marcus alone in the darkening parking lot. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the gleaming kitchen of Le Cordon Bleu Paris. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating 20 cooking stations, where the world's most promising culinary talents prepared for the international finals. His journey since the regional competition had been transformative. A local newspaper had picked up his story, the dishwasher's grandson heading to Paris, and community support had flooded in. A renowned chef had offered him an apprenticeship upon his return. For the first time, doors were opening. Chef Voss entered the kitchen, accompanied by the competition's head judge, 3-star Michelin chef Antoine Bertrand. Welcome to the international finals, Voss announced. Today's challenge honors tradition, while embracing innovation. You will each prepare a 3-course meal that tells your culinary story. Marcus caught sight of Alyssa across the room. She nodded curtly, her earlier contempt replaced by wary respect. They had both earned their places here regardless of their different paths. As Marcus unpacked his grandmother's knives, now joined by a few carefully selected new tools, he felt a strange calm. He no longer needed to prove himself to anyone. He already had. Chef Bertrand approached his station. Chef Voss speaks highly of you, he said in accented English. I look forward to tasting your food. Thank you, Chef, Marcus replied. So do I. At the next station, a competitor from Japan was arranging his tools with meticulous precision. Beyond him, chefs from Italy, Mexico, France, and beyond prepared to share their culinary visions with the world. Marcus rolled up his sleeves, his jacket now properly fitted, his name embroidered over the heart, and began to work. His hands moved with confidence born of practice and passion, creating dishes that honored his grandmother's memory while speaking in his own voice. In this kitchen of dreams, surrounded by the best in the world, he finally understood. Talent wasn't enough without the courage to use it. His grandmother had given him both. As he reached for his salter, her salt, carried from home in the wooden box that had once held her knives, Marcus smiled. He couldn't say whether he would win today, but it no longer mattered. He had already claimed the greatest victory. He was exactly where he belonged. Life often judges us by our covers, our clothes, our backgrounds, our beginnings. But true worth lies deeper, in skills honed through dedication and passion, that burns despite discouragement. The most meaningful recognition comes not from silencing critics, but from honoring those who believed in us before we believed in ourselves. And sometimes, the most powerful legacy we can leave is the courage to be seen for who we truly are.